3, 2, 1.
How's it going, everyone? This is DJ Aceman along with the legendary Life of Big Don here, right now with the Peace and Chaos podcast. What's going on, Big Don?
We are back, people. We had a little
Yes,
hiatus there, but
yes. We had
real life hits.
we had a quick 1 week break. It's kind of like a spring break sort of thing. We just
Yeah,
decided we had some things going on. We were busy with some work and everything else. So we decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a 1 week break and then we're going to come right back and we're going to go live into that. And that's what we're doing tonight. So we're going to get right back into it. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of things have happened in the past 2 weeks compared to about 2 weeks ago when there was only a few things in the news. This time around, there's a lot more going on. There was the big Capitol Hill attack yesterday that took the life of one officer. And also it killed the suspect. We also have big news out of the cancel culture with censorship and Steven Crowder, a YouTuber who's conservative. We're also going to be discussing some recent issues with Matt Gaetz and his whole sex life. There's been a lot of issues with that. And then we're also going to be talking about the controversial Georgia voting law that was passed recently and the repercussions of that, and also how the MLB is now stepping up and taking and considering moving their All-Star game from what was going to be Atlanta to an alternative location. However, before we start, just a reminder, you can always follow us on social media. This is our Instagram, Peace and Chaos _podcast. That is Peace and Chaos _podcast, along with our Twitter, which right here is Peace and Chaos P1. That is Peace and Chaos P1. You always check us out there. Prior to live streams, we always set out reminders of our tweet. So you can always check that out, and also go check out our Twitter. Again, we always post the thumbnails. And we're also going to be posting some informational posts as well. So you can always do that and interact with us. We're always available to chat. All righty. Let's go first to the big story of the week, which was the Capitol attack. The Capitol attack killed an 18-year department veteran. His name was William Billy Evans, who worked there for 18 years as a U.S. Capitol Police officer. Now, the main thing in the news yesterday was about the suspect and his intentions. Now, they haven't really explained what his intentions were specifically. They did say that he was a part of the Nation of Islam and that he was a 25-year-old male from Indiana. However, he went to college in Virginia. There have been some more information about him recently. They said that he played college football and that I think he studied business, if I'm not mistaken. However, let's go right to the facts now of this case. This happened Friday afternoon at the Capitol checkpoint. So the Capitol recently was starting to take down barriers outside the Capitol because of the whole insurrection back on January 6th. And they during that time, they had a lot of barriers up, and they also had a lot of National Guard members were up during that time due to the uncertainty of another insurrection occurring. So they did keep it up. Recently, however, they started to kind of fall back the security, and they think that this might be a reason why the suspect, Noah Green, decided to go in. And he, so basically what happened was that he went through a checkpoint and he drove his car into Capitol Police Officer Billy Evans and killed him. The suspect, I believe, was killed that day as well. And as a result of this, President Biden has ordered all flags to be at half staff. And this is just another dramatic event at the Capitol, and also for the Capitol Police community, who have seen so far several of their members killed this year. So this is the big event this week. This just happened yesterday. So we're going to get a lot more information on this as time progresses, more about why Mr. Green decided to do this. We're going to also learn more about the intentions and also what that means for the U.S. Capitol moving forward with protection. I'm going to pass it over to you, Big Don. Just initial reaction. What are your thoughts? What do you think that the Capitol should do now? Do you think that they should step up security. What do you think about this?
Well, obviously, this is another event that happened at the Capitol, so I think it kind of shines the light of sort of the. We're not sure what the intentions are, but we all know now that not only the Capitol, but a lot of these major sort of political landmarks are being targeted for whether it's domestic terrorism, international terrorism, whatever. There's a lot of divisiveness going on in politics right now, and you can see that's with this attack right here. Now, we're not 100% sure of what's the motives of the attack are, but the Capitol is now kind of this big site now, and we can assume it's political based off that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, in terms of like security, I think obviously the huge security issues were brought up dur- during January 6th, where those Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. We don't we're not giving full context of like what the actual security details were. Where I'm assuming they have stepped up security there during the after January 6th. So I don't know. You said he got like clearance to like go into the Capitol, and they just ran his
I
car.
think what happens was he rammed his car. They said that the suspect rammed his car into Evans and another officer and crashed into a barrier, then got out and started running toward them while wielding a knife. So I mean, I'm not down there in DC, so I don't know specifically, but they said that there were barriers up, and I think he drove right into it, right near where the police were.
Yeah, I think judging off of that, I mean, it's harder to predict like an attack like that, especially if it's like if the context of it is like someone coming down the road, and then all of a sudden they just go off the road and then just ran into a freaking barrier.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what it's about right now. Now, just judging off of this, I think that ever since January 6th, I think that the Capitol Police, I mean, they've lost two officers prior. I know that Officer Sicknick died the day of, I think, or a few days later, and then another officer, I believe, died several days after that, and now
Yep.
Billy Evans passed away yesterday. He was killed yesterday, and I think that the Capitol Police Force, and I just think that in DC, I think it's going to be getting a lot more. They're going to have a lot more security. I think that the National Guard is back in DC. I think they were limiting the numbers after the inauguration on January the 20th.
Right.
They started to reduce capacity of National Guards men and women who were down in DC protecting the grounds, and I think they started to limit that number. And now, ever since then, I think that we're going to see an increase in presence again, because even though Noah Green, what looks like he was the only person involved, there might be people behind the scenes we don't know about, but he was the only person uh, that did the action that day. They're just afraid that maybe there could be lone wolves, maybe with different intentions, that might see this as an opportunity to do it again.
Right.
And I think that that's what they're afraid of. And I think that they're going to have to increase security all the way up through the end of the year, at least.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think it's all going to depend, like when things like because obviously you're going to see a lot more security now. The question is, can they just keep it up?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we going to start seeing like helicopters fly everywhere around Washington D.C. now because it's such a highly targeted area?
Yeah.
And what's that going to mean for other cities like New York? Obviously, they don't have as much political influential as Washington, but they do have influential in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what that's going to mean for the rest of the country, I think moving forward, is that I think there really needs to be more protection to federal buildings, offices of federal buildings. I mean, this happens a lot in, Iraq. Like, I watched the news last night, and they were interviewing representatives and people who worked overseas. They were interviewing some people who were former, or maybe they are ambassadors. And they said that this stuff happened all the time, where if you were in a country, let's say in the Middle East, and you were working in a U.S. Building, U.S. government building, whatever agency, wherever, they said that this these kind of actions happen all the time where you would just be put in lockdown and you were told to shelter in place, and they had stepped up security for a reason because they were in a country where these kind of events were pretty common. And I know yesterday I was watching the news and uh, Representative Ro Khanna, who's from California, I was watching it and they interviewed him and they said that one of his, I think it was one of his associates who he works with for him, told him, you have to go back inside. There was an incident outside. And he said that they had like a shelter in place. They were telling people not to leave. And I think that, I mean, putting yourself in the shoes of people who, all the representatives and politicians who were working in DC on the 6th, I mean, these things might be more common now. And I think that the government as a whole, and I mean, the Capitol Police, I mean, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more security for the near future.
Yeah, I think the rest of the context was after he crashed into the barrier, he pulled a knife out
Yeah.
to other officers, and then at that point they gave the authorization to just shoot him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know if this will be the last incident. I hope it is because I mean, this is just unwanted for everyone, and this is not good for the country at all. And I think that moving forward, they're going to have to secure the U.S. Capitol because I mean, this is where our democracy, where it operates every day, and with more attacks, that's weakening our core values, our core government, and that's weakening our foundation of liberty. And although this was just one little event, one small event compared to January 6th, this is still an event that is going to weaken the country if these continue and continue and continue on a daily basis.
Right.
But we're going to keep you guys updated on this. I think we're going to be discussing more about this next week when there's more information regarding to the intentions of why Noah Green did this, and also any more news in regard to the second attack on the U.S. Capitol. So we're going to bring you that more next show for you all. So we're going to have that covered. Anyways, let's go to another big story. As everyone could tell by our thumbnail this week, there's been a lot of things going on with Steven Crowder. Now, Steven Crowder is a conservative. He's a conservative.
He's a conservative YouTuber.
Commentator. Yeah, YouTuber commentator. He's been around for at least, let's say, 8-9 years.
Yeah, around there. I mean, he's been right before this, he was originally like an actor. Like a wannabe actor. He was actually in like a couple, like one of those teen films, those low budget teen films you'll see. Nothing big, but I mean, yeah, up until then, Steven Crowder was a little bit in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And ever since, like, I think he got big for like covering, because he's Canadian. I think the first kind of big thing he did was covering like Canadian healthcare and sort of the inefficiencies with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Steven Crowder. I think he might be American and Canadian. I think he was born in Michigan, but he grew up in Canada. And I think he became really big after. I think he went to a union rally, I believe, in Michigan back in the day, and I think he was beaten there. He got into a fight, I remember. And he started to get really big after that. And then, I mean, over the past 4 or 5 years, he's really grown a big audience. I think he has over, 2 million subscribers.
No, 5 million subscribers on YouTube.
5 million subscribers on YouTube. Wow.
I think he's the biggest conservative commentator.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of I mean, ever since the election, he's really grown his audience. I mean, he's been collaborating with conservative YouTubers like the Hodge twins. He does a lot of weightlifting videos with them. He also has them on. He has several YouTubers on, and he also does that series called Change My Mind.
Yes,
where
we got to display the meme of that.
Oh yeah,
we got to show the memes.
I gotta find the memes. Hold
on, there's some good ones out there.
Juicy memes,
spicy memes.
Let me go search that up.
But no, I think he's more famous for that rather than anything else. He's just looked at as a meme.
Searching it up right now.
But yeah, Steven Crowder, he got big right around the 2016 election, where you started to see these online conservative commentators start to grow their influence. Some good examples of it could be people like Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro. He was part of that whole crowd of people that said like, "Hey, we're tired of these social justice warriors."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a good one. It's a trap.
This one you can make your own one right here.
Yeah, quintessential
Blank.
meme templates, and he's been doing this for pretty much years now. He's also had a couple other miniseries, but recently he's been recently demonetized by YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And the context to which, I mean, there's a lot of these claims that conservatives are being targeted on online social media.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a question of what exactly did Steven Crowder do to warrant that demonetization. Now, actually, I didn't tell you this yet, but there was a video that leaked on Twitter of Steven Crowder having like a segment where I think Biden passed like some bill to like give black farmers some aid because historically they've been like mistreated when it comes to like giving out loans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Biden gave them a bill, and then Steven went on to just pretty much make fun of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could see it. I'll try and find the tweet for you.
Okay. Now this is a post from Steven Crowder. This was his Instagram post. I don't know how many days
He made a video about this on his second channel called, I think it's called Crowder Bits.
Yep.
Crowder Bits.
So this is what he said. I've been warning about this for a long time, and now it's here. Big tech, and specifically YouTube, have painted a target on conservatives' backs for years, with yours truly being target number one. Today, Google/YouTube just fired a huge shot across our bow. They are no longer enforcing community guidelines, but creating entirely new ones with the express purpose of removing and all conservative voices of dissent for the crime of investigative journalism. We are forbidden from uploading, posting, or live streaming for an entire week on the main channel. Don't worry, we got something for them. In the meantime, you can watch everything live at louderwithcrowder.com/the mug. He says updates to follow soon. This came out a couple of days ago, and I remember he did.
Still trying to find that tweet. I know a lot of progressive people covered this. Like I know Destiny did, Vosh did, Tassan did.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the original tweet for it because I don't.
He was talking about this for a long time, though.
For like a clip of like some progressive commentary, but it's on Twitter somewhere. It's been demonetized from YouTube, obviously, but it could have been a straw. That could have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, this one.
PJ, I want to get your thoughts on that.
Silicon Valley Bank.
About what?
About this whole what's going on right now with Steven Crowder. I think he's demonetized. His channel is still up.
Yeah. So I was just gonna point out this one. This is the notification. So if you have a YouTube channel, I mean, these are always specific. They tailor it to you. I just wanted to share this, and then I'll give you my initial thoughts. So it says, "Hi, Steven Crowder. Our team has reviewed your content, and unfortunately, we think it violates our spam, deceptive practices, and scams policy. We've removed the following content from YouTube." So they did remove it was the huge Nevada vote mystery deepened. So this was during the election time, and they did find out about this. So what I think it's going on with Steven Crowder, I think that what YouTube and Google and all the big tech companies really are, they're really like ever since the election. I mean, even before when they were starting to flag Trump for his tweets, I think they're really focusing on a crackdown on fake news. Because I mean, we saw in 2016 remember when all the bots and all these different they were kind of putting out like pro-Trump, fake news kind of thing. They were giving out misinformation and people were eating it up on Twitter. They were eating it up on Facebook, everywhere. I think what these social media and these big tech companies are doing now, I think they're really trying to go after, I would say, outlets that pretty much kind of, I mean, in Steven Crowder's case, he does give his opinion on news that does happen. I will say that. I mean, he's giving news on real things, but I think in terms of conspiracy theories, like the whole election is stolen, and things like that, I think that big tech really they are stepping up in terms of combating the conspiracy. However, I think there's a gray line in this because some might say, well, he's just doing investigative journalism. And, he might even say that the election wasn't stolen, but he still wants
Right.
to do it. I think there's a gray line in between saying, like in this case, I mean, the whole elephant in the room is the election was stolen versus the election wasn't stolen. And I mean, I think for a journalist like Steven Crowder, he may believe, I mean, I think he believes that the election wasn't stolen. However, there could be signs that there was voter just like just not like voter issues, like things that don't quantitatively add up. And I think that the YouTube, in terms of the perspective of YouTube and the perspective of Google and Twitter as well, they may say, well, he's still buying into the narrative, and
Yeah.
that is in our under our guidelines, it's spam, deceptive practices, and scams. So because of that, we're going to have to suspend him or you know take disciplinary actions against him. And I think because of that, we're going to ban him for a week or however long that is.
Yeah. And by the way, did I talk over you there? My audio cut out for a second. So
I don't think so. No.
okay. By the way, I sent you the tweet in chat, the video
Let me go check.
that got clipped.
Oops. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Whoopsies. Whoops. Oh shit. Sorry about that. Had a little technical difficulty.
Yeah, we don't know how Zoom works here, but it was done. It was shared by at Jason S. Campbell.
Huh.
But it's a bit, but it's, but I guess when I was Twitter, it's hard to find. So that's why I just sent you the tweet itself, so you don't have to go.
Okay. Okay.
I sent you it
Put it
in
in.
the Zoom chat.
Hold on.
While we're waiting, if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you hit that like button. That like button, jeez, really helps with the YouTube algorithms. Obviously, we're at a pretty good amount of views right now. Not seeing a lot of activity in chat, but it is what it is. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It really helps us with the whole entire YouTube algorithm thing. Make sure you like and subscribe if you are new here. We do this every single week. Well, we try to do every single week. We had a vacation last week. So every Saturday night, 8 p.m. to however long we go to.
Exactly.
Here it is.
All right, we have this up.
Yeah, I can't hear your sound.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to share my sound 1 sec. Sorry about this, people. Let me see. Having some issues with the audio recently.
This is a classic boomer moment from BJ right here.
Oh God, what's going on here with the video audio? Whoops.
How about I share mine?
Yeah, you know what? I'll let you share. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Hold on. I will get out of this. I was having trouble with it earlier, people. So the reason why we were having having some issues with it.
All right, let me know if you can hear this.
Show looking at a major provision.
You hear that?
I can hear it. Yep.
All right, I'll start from the beginning. All right.
I don't know where you find this many farmers of color, but they did. And 5.2 billion are being allocated exclusively for colored farmers. Farmers of color. Roll the tape.
We begin today's show looking at a major provision
I'll full screen
in
this.
President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that aims to address decades of discrimination against Black, Hispanic, Native American and Asian American farmers who've historically been excluded from government agricultural programs. The American Rescue Plan sets aside $10.4 billion for agriculture support and allocates about half the funds to farmers of color who are, quote, subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as members of a group, unquote. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights confirmed as long ago as 1965 the U.S. Department of Agriculture discriminated against Black farmers, but little was done to address the problem.
Okay. We gotta stop it just to add some perspective into this. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, just for the sake of copyright and everything like that, we gotta add some. We're just gonna talk a little bit about it. So Steven Crowder, he's someone who kind of likes to pull out. He likes to talk about, some things in the media. I mean, he used to do a lot of CNN reviews in the morning and things like this. So to react to Democracy Now, which is slightly more left leaning, is something that he would always like to do. And just in this case with the whole Black Farmers Act, I mean, this is something that President Biden really wants to push, focusing on working class people, specifically in the agricultural, the agricultural sector. And I think that Steven Crowder, he's kind of just like making fun of it in a way. And I think that it just shows how partisan he is.
Yeah, true. I mean, I refuse to show this as the pause image because I think this is this is the kind of comedy we're going for here, people. It's not the best look.
Yeah, also it just shows you like he does a lot of things that kind of cross the line sometimes. I mean, when Ruth RBG passed away, they actually had like a skeleton, and they would say it's RBG. They'd always like make fun of that and stuff. And I mean, he has he has comedy that's really partisan comedy. It's something that it wouldn't be really laughed at in terms of like the mainstream media. I think it would be more seen as controversial. Just a lot of the things that he does on his show and on his YouTube channel is more kind of for a conservative audience. He's kind of like one of those conservative comedians in a way, where he kind of makes all these commentaries, and just from his own standpoint, it's more towards an audience that's conservative. So in this case, making fun of Black farmers and kind of making fun of Democracy Now is something that he's kind of known to do. So it's not really something.
Well, let's get to the actual context of these jokes to determine whether these are actually called for.
Okay.
Yeah, most happy about the new policy. These people. So yeah, I'm on back. Buy a plow, man. I'm gonna plant that corn. Go get a John Deere. Barack Obama, mother. I'm the president. I'm plowing that ass. You.
I thought
Oh my God.
What do is be farmers. Wasn't that a big problem for hundreds of years?
Yeah. Isn't that why Arsenio Hall called himself the urban man's Johnny Carson?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Are people lining up out in the middle of cornfield Iowa for new dunks? How would you prove this, by the way? Like, how would you prove that you've been discriminated
You don't
against?
have to. You just
I didn't get that loan. Sir, you had no credit. Well, that should not have stopped me from getting the loan.
I planted a Hennessy tree, but it's not.
Yeah, this is I'd say kind of controversial. Yeah, I'm surprised that he's even doing this, to be honest with you.
I'm getting in some niche esoteric cognac humor, motherfucker.
Don't white people just go to their neighborhoods and build urban farms and ruin their?
What the heck?
We're in Detroit. Turns out the soil content is a high level of meth. Wow.
Yeah, this is definitely something that Steven Crowder would do.
I didn't even know like meth was like a black thing. I don't think that it is. I
don't think it is. No.
As you can tell, I'm just gonna put it bluntly. This is pretty racist.
Yeah, it is pretty racist. I think. Yeah, the way that he was speaking and the way that he was like, doing that. That was definitely racist. Yeah, that definitely crossed the line.
It absolutely did cross the line. I mean,
but was that specifically the thing that got him in trouble?
I mean, this clip got I think the whole entire video of this clip got banned from YouTube, and then obviously Jason Campbell reposted it on Twitter. That's the only source where it is right now. A lot of people are reacting to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it's relevant too. It's relevant.
It's very relevant to why. It's probably as I said, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I definitely agree with you there. But I think that the main reason why he was banned, and I mean, if I could pull up the article again. It was saying that it was because during he had like a whole voter fraud week, way back in like 2 weeks after the election ended.
Yeah.
Like I think it was like 10 days after Joe Biden was announced the winner. He had a whole voter fraud week, and he was going to different states. They had reports from Michigan, Georgia, Nevada, I think Arizona as well, and they were doing different research on who's old, who died, who did this, and they were just making claims that so and so passed away, so and so did this, so and so did that. And yeah, that was but the one that really got him was the Nevada one. And that was
Yeah.
the reason why from his, you know, DM with Instagram, I mean no, YouTube, my bad, YouTube, on that notification that he posted on Instagram, it said that it was because you're in Nevada that you're going to be blocked, and it's because it's spam and it's misinformation. So I don't know if it's definitely, I don't know if he's the reason why he got taken off of you. Well, he got banned from YouTube is because of this tirade, this racial tirade. But I think it's more about just the whole misinformation and how just with this whole censorship. Um,
Right. I think there was a clip during like those investigations where Crowder was like looking at some video of like people like carrying something. He's like, as you can see there is clearly votes in that. There's clearly some dead votes right there. People are dragging in dead votes when it's like camera equipment. Like that's the extent to which Crowder is using misinformation here.
but I do think that maybe he just does it to please his audience.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it could. I'm not sure what Crowder's actual political views are. I mean, I don't want to call him a grifter or anything, but this could be. But this could be an attempt to like please his audience because that was kind of the narrative at the time. The whole, I think the Trump administration was kind of preparing for like these false claims of voter fraud for like even a couple of weeks before the election.
Mm. Yeah.
Like they are full on prepared for this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that that is I knew that they were going to be. I mean, even when you go back to the election, I think it was like the night of. I think it was like 2 a.m. when he had the big press conference, and they said they won, and they justified. Well, look at Pennsylvania. Look at all these states. We're winning by so much. 60% of the vote. We already won. And then everyone started saying, "What is going on here? Stop the vote. Count the vote." You know how you had all the issues in Michigan and Arizona, for instance. And I mean, we saw this coming for a long time. That
Yeah,
I mean,
we
even
knew that
before.
there was going to be delay in votes. People like Bernie Sanders were talking about like, oh, the vote's not going to be coming out until like a week after. We don't know when the election results are going to happen.
Yeah, we knew way back, like even in June, I was reading articles. And I mean, I was telling you about these articles where they were playing games, where they were doing situations where they know that since this is during a pandemic, we're having a big general election during a pandemic. We're having mail-in voting nationwide, up to I think it's 140 million, 150 million are eligible to vote. So that's going to mean that we're going to overwhelm the postal service. We're going to have it's going to take a lot longer. There's going to be social distancing inside county voting centers. We're going to have all this stuff, and it's going to really delay the process. And they knew about this, and in the game, the scenario was there was one representative for the Biden campaign, one representative for the Trump campaign, and then there was also like media figures and then people working in each state. And they knew that they knew that President Trump at the time, they said that he was going to overreact if this was going to happen. And this did happen. And then the conservative media just jumped on it. They jumped on the narrative of saying it was stolen, it was rigged. This is the reason why, all that stuff. And I think with Steven Crowder, and just going back to him, he really saw this as a market for where he could, rack up views, rack up subscriptions, rack up just in general, traffic flow in his channel. And that's
Right.
why he did this. And I think that right there is the reason why he's banned, because of all these videos that he did. And even though he might not even buy into the narrative that it was stolen, he still, provided like
He hinted
videos.
towards it.
Yeah, he did. And I think
Like,
stepping in the shoes of the big tech industry, I think in their eyes, they saw him violate their principles, and therefore, this is why he is banned from his main channel.
yeah. In terms of first, let me give you back the screen here.
Okay.
Now, in terms of stuff like the debate is going to go on between like what companies should do with their TOS, and I might have said this during a previous podcast, but companies need their TOS
Mhm.
because if you don't have like a TOS, then you just put anything on the damn internet. It
And
just
the-
becomes a question of where you draw the line at.
Yeah, and then like the other thing too is that, as you know, like there's been a huge debate of freedom of speech and also the right of a private company to set up their own, rules. And the main issue is Instagram, is Twitter, is Facebook. Does the First Amendment, does that fall under their terms of services? And since they're private companies, they therefore have like the right to, you know, set up their own rules and guidelines. And people will always, that's the big issue. That's why we saw a lot of, in the past couple of years, we've seen big tech have multiple hearings in Congress. Um, there have been a lot of talks about this, and that's also a thing that we need to consider here too. Let's going at it here. Um, yeah, this is definitely going to be a big story. I would say with Steven Crowder in the future, and also with other conservatives as well.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen next with these. If there's going to be like a purge going on. I mean, judging by like based off the history of YouTube and stuff like that, when it comes to banning right wing figures, they do it so in, I guess, waves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember when Alex Jones got banned.
Yeah, but he was like violating every week, and I mean, honestly, it was not really surprised he was going to get banned.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the most outspoken. Although when you get to more, I'd say more mainstream conservatives, I think that's where there's going to be a lot of red flags drawn, and then I think you might see a lot of issues in terms of YouTube, and also just in general. I don't think it's just going to be conservatives. I think it's going to be progressives as well. There are thoughts that maybe some progressives who may not really have centrist views. They're like, I know Kyle Kalinske spoke about this and saying that it's not just going to be, conservatives here. They're going to target some progressives as well, and people who may not have popular opinions, and
Right.
that's something else that we're going to have to consider and we're going to have to look into.
Right. I think to keep in mind here is YouTube is Google in general, because that's who owns YouTube. They're a company that wants to protect their image.
Yep.
So even though they are the biggest search engine in the world, and you can easily look anything up on them, well, not everything because dark web stuff, but in terms of like who you can like find, I mean, they give like a huge access to a lot of things, but as a company, I mean, where do they draw the line of saying like, okay, we can suppress this because it might have a negative image on us. It could result in like so events happening, like for example with the Capitol Hill attacks, the first one. I have to clarify that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's going to be a huge debate that's probably going to really spark probably this year.
Oh yeah.
If I were to predict it.
I think it really is going to spark this year. And I mean, YouTube is also going to have to look at their identity as well. And, if they are starting to ban people, do you think that some people are going to be a little reluctant to use their platform to get their message across? Do you think that there could be possibly a new site like YouTube that comes out that is more aimed towards people who are skeptic of YouTube right now?
There are sites like that right now. Like for example, I think BitChute is probably the biggest one.
Okay.
That's where everyone. I think Nick Fuentes is on there. There's also I think Alex Jones has his own. Well, along with Infowars, I think there's like banned videos.
Band.video, yeah, that's for him.
It's all run by him. And then I heard recently Parlor came back.
Yeah, I
I
haven't looked it up yet. No,
I recently checked out the app. It's a lot different from what it was.
really.
Yeah, it's a completely new layout.
Hmm. I haven't really looked into it as much, so I gotta definitely look into that more. But anyways, this is definitely going to be something that we're going to be discussing more on the channel as well. I mean, this is just a developing story. I think that Steven Crowder will probably he is going to be posting on his own channel, but he has a few channels. He's Crowder Bits. He has his main channel. So even though he's going to be off his main channel, I think he's going to still be using Crowder Bits.
Yep.
And I think there'll be a lot more things to say, especially knowing Steven Crowder. He's someone who likes to take on big tech. So he'll definitely be saying a lot more things and we'll keep you all updated on it. All right, let's go now to the big story with Florida Representative Matt Gaetz. So recently, there's been a lot of talk with Matt Gaetz. There's been, I think the New York Times broke the story earlier this week that there was a sex trafficking investigation going on with Matt Gaetz. Um, and there's also been allegations that Matt Gaetz, his conduct inside Congress has been somewhat questioned. Right here, this is the headline from CNN. It says Gaetz showed nude photos of women he said he'd slept with to lawmakers. This is sources from CNN. We can go into it a little bit. Um, he's always been someone. I mean, a lot of people know him in the public eye as someone who's very pro-Trump. He's a big Republican from Florida, and he's a young Republican as well. Um, this is more towards his personal life, and uh, this video. Well, one of the sources said one of the videos that he showed was a naked woman with a hula hoop.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about sex trafficking as well. I think he adopted a teen boy from Cuba, I'm not mistaken, and that he is 38 years old. And that federal investigators are examining whether Gaetz engaged in a relationship with a woman that began when she was 17 years old and whether his involvement with other young women broke federal sex trafficking and prostitution laws. Two people briefed on the matter said. And Gaetz said that he had no part of the allegations against me. He says they're not true at all, and that there are investigations ongoing on this matter. So, I mean, we've seen, I mean, in the past year, there have been several politicians who have gotten to hot water. Recently, we talked about Governor Cuomo. He's still the current governor of New York. We spoke about him and all the allegations against him. There are pictures against him as well. Don't forget there was Al Franken from Minnesota.
Yep. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes, but Al Franken, there was a picture of him, and that's what made him resign. There's been a few others as well, but this one is the latest with Representative Gaetz of Florida. So I just want to get your initial thoughts about this.
Yeah, this is a hot issue. I didn't watch the Tucker interview they did.
I watched a little bit.
I'm assuming he denied all of it and then said like it's probably like a witch hunt. But
Well,
there's a lot of stuff going around on Twitter of like pictures resurfacing of like Matt Gaetz hanging out with like a bunch of like children. Like he'll go to like congressional events like during the like in an elementary school. I'm not sure if he was like a congressman at this time. He was probably like a state representative, or maybe he's still a congressman. I don't know. But there was a lot of photos that surfaced with him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And of course, this comes out, which kind of sparks the fire to what this case is.
Yeah.
The question then becomes whether or not all this stuff has any validity, because right now there's no actual proof, like hardcore evidence, that Gaetz did anything like sexual with a minor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any evidence yet. They said that the investigation is still ongoing. However, I was reading some things about him, and Oh, going back to the Tucker interview. Now, Tucker, he had him on, I think Thursday. And at the end of the interview, there's only a brief clip of it on Twitter. And Matt Gates said, Tucker, remember we went to dinner, you and your wife and me and this woman from a couple years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, Matt Gates said. And Tucker says, I do remember going out to dinner with you, but I don't remember the woman. And then Matt Gates said, oh, okay. And then right after that, Tucker said, Matt Gates, everyone, thank you. And then shortly after the break, Tucker Carlson said this was the weirdest interview he's ever done. It made him put him on the spot. But to show that, I mean, on public audience, Tucker Carlson saying that I don't remember who this woman was kind of really throws Matt Gates into really hurts his image a lot more.
Yeah, it does, because now people on his side are just like, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is really gonna I don't know if we're gonna see him leave immediately. I mean, the whole investigation is really gonna have to show compelling evidence here. I mean, as of right now, Governor Cuomo's still the governor of New York, I
Right.
mean, that's serious too. So I don't think Gates is gonna go down without a swing. Anyways, he's 38 years old. He has a young career, you know what I mean? So I mean, it would be a really bad look if this took him out, because I don't think
I mean, this is a bad look for him in general.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Whether or not it's like he wins the case, he's found guilty or not. The fact that he had this controversy, and if he is like found innocent of it, he's still going to have that mark on his career.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is going to hurt like any chance of him like running for public office or even like re-election. Like I'm not sure like the demographics of his congressional district, but that could be a huge factor.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know exactly where he's from in Florida, but I know that, I mean, I think he might be from more of a red county. But yeah, going forward, any challenger is probably going to bring this up on the campaign trail, and that's going to easily hurt his campaign. Even though he's pretty much aligned with Trump in so many ways, I think that some voters are going to start voting more based on his character and the way that he acts. And they're not going to want a representative who goes onto the floor of Congress or wherever he used to work at and say, yo, look at all these pictures, show these explicit photos. I mean, no one's going to want a representative like that. People want a politician, a representative who's going to fight for them, for their interests, for everything that they believe in, and for the betterment of themselves. For Matt Gates in this case, I mean, if he's going onto the floor and, doing all these sexual games and showing people everything, people aren't going to want that. And I think whoever goes up against him in the near future, Republican, Democrat, Independent, bring this up and you will definitely make a name for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
there goes my tangent.
Yeah, there goes your tangent. Yeah, I think he's setting that up pretty well. It's going to be hard for Matt Gates to obviously recover from this.
Yeah, exactly there.
But we shall see.
We shall see. All right, let's move on to the big controversial story. This one has been going on. They passed this way back a few weeks ago now, I believe. So this is the new Georgia voting law. This was by the Governor Kemp administration, and it is a 98-page voting law. And it outlines a lot of stuff in terms of how voting will look in the near future. One of the things was, I was watching something on CNN yesterday, and they had a fact checker. And he was discussing some things that are relevant to this and some things that are not relevant to this. And one of the things that he said was relevant to this was that they did cut the number of voting boxes in big counties. So Fulton County, just counties in general that are of larger population, they cut the voting boxes there. So there were 38, I believe, voting boxes in Fulton County during the 2020 election. They said that those will be cut down about from 38 to 8. That's what he said. There was also some things where people are not going to be allowed to hand out food, hand out water to people standing in lines. And there are also some strict guidelines on that. They said, yeah. So these are some of the big clauses in this new law. There are new strict IDs. It is now illegal for election officials to mail out absentee ballot applications to all voters. There are a limited number of drop boxes. There's also says here the Secretary of State is removed as a voting member of the state election board. There's also, if you go to the wrong polling place, it will be even harder to vote. Offering food or water to voters who are waiting is a misdemeanor. Mobile voting centers, such as an RV, are banned, so you cannot do that.
Damn.
Early voting is expanded in a lot of smaller counties, so more like red counties, but probably not in more populous ones. So Fulton County will not see it, and around the Fulton area. And they also said, what else here? There's been a few others. If election problems arise, a common occurrence, it is now more difficult to extend voting hours as well. And runoff elections will happen faster and could become harder to manage. So they also said voters will now have less time to request absentee ballots. And overall, these new clauses and new parts of this new law are really going to hurt just elections in general. And I know we're going to talk about the MLB and their move, and also President Biden spoke to ESPN earlier this week to discuss this controversial new law. But I wanted to get your initial reaction on this, Big Don. Some of the clauses that the New York Times outlined right here, we just went over, but I just wanted to see what you thought of this, because this has been in the news, big news.
Yeah, a lot of this really seems targeted towards Democratic areas. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, if you're restricting like both, this obviously is more incentivized towards sort of smaller rural areas, which is fine and dandy. They can go out and vote as well. But removing like some like voter boxes and like restrictions based on like more urban counties or like Georgia in general, this really seems to undermine. I mean, this is kind of serves as a reaction to what happened during the runoffs that happened this year, which caused Democrats to now have control over the Senate.
Yep.
So I'm not sure. Did it say who made these? Oh, I guess
Governor Kemp,
who was a Republican.
Yep, and his whole administration.
Yeah. So obviously, this is nothing new in terms of like expanding political influence. I think North Carolina was probably like the biggest instance of this a couple years ago, where they targeted certain voter IDs so that like minorities couldn't vote a certain way because they're more likely to have this ID.
Yeah.
But this seems like obviously it's more favoring towards Republicans, which you would expect with what happened in Georgia this past election cycle. Is it more? But is it like morally right? It's hard for me to say on this, because I mean, I think in general we should be giving a lot more people access to vote.
I agree with you there.
People need to vote, and whether that's for like drive-in boxes. I mean, there's worries about like voter fraud being like a cause of something like that with driving boxes. Obviously, mail-in ballots are another huge factor, and the states has limited sort of the deadline to file like an absentee ballot, which is of course a very crucial way of how people get their votes out, especially if they're out of state.
Exactly.
But this seems to undermine sort of the democratic process of what's going on in Georgia, if you were to ask me.
I agree. I think that with this law, it definitely kind of gives more power to the more right-leaning areas of the state, especially giving more time to Republican areas, specifically counties. It also shows you that, cutting down ballot boxes is a way of trying to oppress voters in urban areas and areas where there might be a lot more votes for the Democratic candidate. And I think this is just party politics at the end of the day. I mean, you see with this legislation, they're really trying to suppress voters into even considering voting. They're trying to make it harder. They're trying to make it so that, people of color and minorities and people who tend to vote a certain way, maybe it makes it harder for them to go to the ballot box or even put in the effort to exercise their right to vote. And I mean, this is, in my eyes, this is definitely something partisan that the Republicans and their legislature, I think, wanted to do after both senators lost and also President Trump lost the predominantly red state for the past, you know, few decades now.
Yep.
And, a lot of the things that they put into this law, are really, I mean, not offering food or water to voters waiting in line. I mean, come on. Like,
Yeah,
that's just
I don't care
silly.
what party you're part of. That's
Yeah,
like
really.
very disingenuous.
Yeah, it is very disingenuous. Drop boxes, how they're trying to limit that. And I'm thinking, looking at the 2022 midterms and just in general the 2024 election, I think there are going to be people. I mean, this is just on a national level that probably are not going to want to, they're going to see that, oh, well, early voting is easier to do because, we can just do it on our own time instead of, making time on November 3rd.
Yep.
Whenever the next election day is, or the first Tuesday of November. And I think that, doing less drop boxes is really going to slow down the democratic process. And it's also going to oppress people from voting as well. So I think here, this is just, common party politics. I think that they wanted to do this to make sure that it's a lot harder to vote. It takes a lot more steps to vote, more effort to vote. And it's just a bad look for Georgia.
It's a very bad look for Georgia. Now, I think the more interesting story here is people's reaction to this, especially the MLB.
Okay, yep.
Because I think this kind of started with George Floyd. We're seeing a lot of these corporations, especially sports leagues. I mean, look at the NBA, for instance. I mean, during the bubble, all you saw was Black Lives Matter symbols and logos on the actual courts itself.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously MLB here is taking a stance. So the context of this is pretty much the All-Star game for the MLB was supposed to be held in Atlanta, where the Braves play.
Yep.
And now the MLB is moving it. They're getting out of Atlanta. Some people, I think that the Braves owner got really mad at this. But this is obviously their form of protest.
Yeah, this is their press release. I can just highlight some of the things.
Yep.
They said that they're deeply disappointed. They said it was not their decision nor recommendation, and that they are sad that the fans will not be able to experience this. And they basically said that their city and the Braves organization has been a uniter for the whole city in times of divide, like right now with politics and everything else, and that they were really sad that this did not go through. And I think that this has to do a lot of just with the MLB itself. And I mean, we could go into this on a whole another issue. I don't knowing you. I mean, I don't know in your eyes, but do you see that the MLB is one of the more, I would say, one of the bigger, like professional leagues that hasn't really made a big say in terms of social justice? I mean, you see with the NFL and the NBA, but I think with the MLB, they don't really have like a big voice in terms of racial justice in comparison to how impactful the NBA and the NFL have been. That's just my take. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree to that. I mean, we've seen some stuff. I think the first example I can think of was like the Red Sox throwing Black Lives Matter on the Green Monster there.
Also, the T-shirt too that they put on home plate. That was, I think, back in May or June last year. They did that with the MLB. Well, no, this was actually, I think, July. The MLB did that when their season was underway. So they have done some things in the past, but it's not as what the NBA did this past season with the Black Lives Matter on the shirts. They also had it on the court. They had vote, get out to vote. The NFL did something similar to that as well. And they've had different campaigns that have really um, shown light to people of color and communities that have been oppressed across the United States. And I think with the MLB, I think they're trying to get on board with that. And I think public relations has been such a big aspect of any corporation business. And I think the MLB is trying to do the right thing here and, standing up to what they see as wrong with this Voter Rights Act and Voter Law Act in Georgia. And as a result, they want to move the games out of Georgia.
Yeah. I think that the real debate here is whether or not sports leagues or even companies like this should put out political statements. Now you can say this is like not they're like politicized, but let's face it, it is.
I think that, in our day and age, I think so many things have been happening that it kind of is now a big part for corporations or businesses in general to, acknowledge some of the things that are going on in society. Um, this past year we've experienced a lot from a pandemic to social and racial justice. We've seen, and I think that companies, if they don't say anything, they're just not acknowledging that there's something out there that
That's
is a
true.
big problem. So I think that in their logic, I think that acknowledging that there is a big issue here really helps them out in terms of, well, really just makes it so that they can spread their own message and their awareness, and that people being affected by all the things that are going on, that they can show them that they're on their side and that they understand what they're fighting against. And I think with the MLB, even though it says it in this article that the Players Alliance, which is made up of 150 Black professional baseball players, so even though that the Major League Baseball has a kind of a lower percentage of African Americans, um, similar to, well, different in how the NBA and also the NFL is comprised racially. However, I think what the MLB is trying to do is trying to make a stand with their Black community, people who watch MLB, who are fans of Major League Baseball, who are of color. I think what they're trying to do here is that say that they are with them 100%, and that they stand by their decision to move the location of the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. Yeah, I think you bring up good points and trying to like show like solidarity towards what's going on within the society.
Mm-hmm.
Though a big part of like sports leagues is player unions. And if you know anything about the MLB's player union, it's pretty influential.
Yeah.
So I think that
right here.
So you can look at this as like the MLB showing solidarity. Some people will look at this as like a corporate stunt. But either way, I think we could both say here that what happened in like Georgia. For as nonpartisan as we are looking at this for very objectively. What's going on in Georgia is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
So I think the MLB did. So if I were to judge this, I think the MLB did the right thing here, because it looks bad for like the Braves, and obviously they're going to be hurt by that because the All-Star game is going to cut off some of their revenue. Obviously, people are going to the city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
But in terms of like a broader like social aspect, I think this was a good move by the MLB. If we look, obviously there's going to be a debate around it of like the political implications of that. But if we were to kind of look at this for our own lens here, I think the MLB did the right thing here.
I agree with you. I think it's very difficult to, measure, if this is really the right idea to do. You have to look at the positives and negatives of this big decision. However, I think that since the Players Alliance, how they have become a really pivotal role and also just with how the MLB is trying to be more inclusive, just like the other professional sports organizations, I think that seeing how intertwined sports and politics have become, I think that they made a tough decision. I think that it's going to hurt the Braves organization in the city of Atlanta for years, but for a few years. But I think that overall, I think that they made the right decision in listening to some of their players, some of their stakeholders in this, and really understanding why, well, although some people may not see the big issue here, I think that overall the MLB is really showing a message that they're all for inclusiveness. They're against, um, you know, this unjust act, and therefore they're standing up for racial justice, and they're going to move on and change the location. I think this is a political stance, but I think that it is necessary in terms of this climate.
Yeah, I can't agree more than that. But all right, do we want anything else for tonight? I mean, there's a lot more stuff to cover that happened during the week.
Yes, there's been a lot of stuff going on this week. We talked about a lot of stuff today. In terms of what we're thinking about doing, we're going to be doing a lot more videos on our YouTube. So we're going to be seeing a lot more. These are just more announcements now. We're going to be doing a lot more videos. We're going to be doing a reaction video coming up on some political, just some political videos in total. We're going to have maybe a few videos on Jubilee, some other political commentators. We're going to be giving our analysis on this. We're also going to be doing, we're going to try to do some interactive live streams as well. We have been doing some of them, but maybe play some games on live stream. We're going to do a lot of discussions about the things that happen on in the week, but we're going to be doing some things, maybe surfing on Twitter in the next couple episodes. We're going to be going on Instagram, all this different stuff. We're going to have a lot more of this. We're going to be discussing everything that goes on every single week. So please don't miss a beat. Huh?
Ooh, I want to announce something.
Yeah.
Okay, so along with that, we are also planning on doing some not live debates, but we have a debate in the works.
Yes.
We have a big debate coming up. One of our viewers, our kind friends, reached out to us to cover a debate on immigration. That's another big issue that we didn't cover tonight, but it's obviously a huge issue that's going on within the southern border in terms of the ethics of that, and then immigration policy in general. That's obviously a very hot button issue. So we will be doing that in the future.
Yep.
If you guys want to see that, make sure you hit the like button. I mean, either way, we're going to publish it, but really it helps us show our support there.
Mm-hmm.
We're still debating on like whether or not we should do it live. We're probably not going to do it live because of like the timing of everything. We're going to have it pre-recorded.
Exactly. We're going to be doing that. We're also going to be trying to do some more just original videos as well. We're still going to be doing this Saturday night live stream at 8 p.m. So if you ever miss it for whatsoever reason, you can always go back and replay it. It's going to be on our YouTube channel page. So if you ever miss it, don't be scared. Don't be afraid.
Yeah,
we're gonna get it.
Always feel free to check it out. I mean, we got some pretty good feedback on some of our videos in terms of like after view streams. I know the one we did on the royal family spills the tea, that got pretty big.
Yeah,
CPAC one that also got pretty big. Probably our biggest video was the election video that we did, where we kind of did a let's talk politics style election rundown.
Mm-hmm.
We hope to do more of those.
We're going to do more of those, definitely. We're going to be doing, I mean, with our, just with our platform, we're really trying to, talk a lot about current events. We're going to be discussing reaction. We're going to be doing some reactions, and we're also going to be doing some election projections and things for you all to stay updated on. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things. Also, check out our Instagram. We're going to be posting some funny content like we have right here. Here's a quick funny video. Oops, I can't watch it.
Oh no!
Oh god!
It's the video of our president.
Yeah, we put some. I mean, shout out to Big Don for doing all these amazing.
I mean,
check out all these. We put all our thumbnails. Our most recent one right here is the Steven Crowder one.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a parody of that's probably the one
The
I'm most
robot.
proud of, to be quite honest with you. I like the Mr. Robot text right
You
there.
know what? You know what? The one you didn't add yet, the Ted Cruz one.
Oh, I didn't add the Ted Cruz one.
That was a good one. Yeah, you gotta go. Big Don's our thumbnail guy for the most part. I've done maybe one thumbnail so far, but of the GeoGuessr series that we started. But Big Don has done most of these, and I mean, these are pretty flawless. And you can always go check it out. Just go check us out on Instagram. We're going to be doing a lot of posts on there, some stories as well. Check it out. We're going to be growing the channel, so please, please, please hit the follow button, and we're going to get you into our group. All right. Anyways, so we're going to be posting a lot on here in the next couple weeks. We're going to be on here every single Saturday night at 8 p.m., of course. And just one more thing, go check us out on Twitter as well. And you can always go check out our video and our live stream there as well. I mean, on YouTube, only on YouTube. But you can always follow us to never miss a beat. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for us this week. We're going to be back again next week, and also go check out our Instagram and Twitter. We're going to be posting some things during the week, or maybe at the end of the week. And also go subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the like button and subscribe, and hit that bell as well. It means a lot to us, so that you can never miss any new updates to our stream, because we're going to be posting some original videos on there as well. We're going to be having a lot more to talk about in the next couple shows. So you can always go check that out as well. And also, we're having some specials coming up in the future. So I hope you all enjoyed today's episode of the Peace and Chaos podcast. I will see you all later. See ya.
Peace.